After several days of resting, Hillary Clinton is back out on the campaign trail. Earlier today, she spoke in Greensboro, North Carolina.
As you may know, I recently had a cough that turned out to be pneumonia. I tried to power through it, but even I had to admit that maybe a few days of rest would do me good. And I'm not great at taking it easy, even under ordinary circumstances, but with just 2 months to go until Election Day, sitting at home was pretty much the last place I wanted to be.
After she spoke there, she took a few questions from reporters about her health.
My campaign has said that they could have been faster, and I agree with that. I certainly expect them to be as focused and quick as possible. But I have to say, from my perspective, I thought I was going to be fine, and I thought that there wasn't really any reason to make a big fuss about it.
North Carolina is, of course, another key battleground state in the 2016 race. The Real Clear Politics average there has her with a very slight margin over Donald Trump. She leads by just, as you can see, 0.6 of a point. Fox Greensboro senior political reporter Bob Buckley joins us now. Bob, tell us about that event today, what you observed there, and what you think about the race overall in North Carolina.
It was an enthusiastic crowd, more so than we've seen at some other Hillary events, and it was a fairly big crowd. But what I've noticed is the Clinton campaign books smaller venues and then cuts them off. We were in a basketball gym there, and they only used the first third of the gym, but that third was filled, and they had a whole bunch of people standing out where I'm standing right now, pretty angry that they couldn't get in. So it seems like the campaign is a little wary of not having a big enough crowd and anything looking empty, because every time Trump comes here, it's an overflow crowd. As for the election here in the state, from everything I've reported on and heard and seen, if the election were to be today, I suspect Trump would eke out a very close victory, but still wouldn't get to 50%. We're such a microcosm, Brit, of the country in that we have a world-renowned university system, both public and private. Those areas are going to go very heavily for Hillary Clinton, and those areas are all surrounded with the kind of people Trump supporters are described as. Some of them have college educations, many of them do not. Many of them worked in industries that have been decimated by global trade. You look at the area we're in right now. We were the world headquarters of furniture, textiles, and tobacco. All three of those industries are gone.
Do people seem to believe that Donald Trump really will be able to bring back manufacturing jobs of that kind?
I don't know that they do. I think some of them certainly do. Some of them are ready for the protectionism. Some of them are ready for the overturning of NAFTA. But what I think they really are latching onto with Donald Trump here, as in a lot of places, is he is going to stop those other guys. I think there is much part of what Richard Burr, our senior senator who's running for re-election, is he's part of the never Hillary crowd, and that's enough for a lot of them to back Trump.
What about the Burr race? That's been considered a vulnerable seat. How's he doing?
I suspect he's doing pretty well. Richard Burr, you know, what's surprising about him, though, Britt, is for someone who's been around Washington, D.C. since 1994, 10 years in the U.S. House, and now running for his third term in the U.S. Senate, it's amazing how many North Carolinians don't know him, don't have an opinion of him, because he works very quietly. He's one of those guys who truly went to Washington to do some work rather than be in front of TV cameras. It may hurt him a little bit when it comes to race time. I suspect, though, that he might have an easier time getting reelected than the Republican governor, Pat McCrory, who's in a very tough race with the relatively popular Attorney General, Roy Cooper.
Well, that has to do with that ballot, that state initiative that had to do with the bathrooms, right, which seems to have caused all kinds of havoc.
Right. Here's what's going on. Here's why North Carolina has not engaged in this presidential race like so many other states have. We have been mired in a cultural civil war for at least the last year. It started with Charlotte passing some ordinances to give legal protections to lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgendered people. No one had a big problem with that, but they came back a year later and added to that this provision that you can go use whatever bathroom you wanted to based on how you felt your gender was. So you could be biologically male, use the female bathroom, use their shower, use their locker room. And they also then put that ordinance onto private businesses as well as public. That's when the state legislature came in and started trying to negotiate with Charlotte, saying, let's do something else. Can't we do something else to not go this far. Charlotte said, no, we ran on this for the election. This is what we're going to do. You're going to have to live with it. So the state legislature responded with what's called House Bill 2, HB 2, which got rid of a lot of those protections for the LGBT group. They are now being called bigoted, and that's where it stands, this cultural standoff, where a lot of these people, like Trump supporters, look over their shoulders like, are they talking about me? I'm not bigoted. They see this as common sense stuff. But the people who push the bill in Charlotte feel very strongly that this is their natural right.
But it's causing making more of a difference in the gubernatorial race and state races than it is for the Senate and the White House, right? Okay, Bob.
Right, because the governor, he can't change the law. The legislature has to, but he did sign it. He could have vetoed it and said, let's go figure this out in the legislature. He chose not to. And so they're making him the face of it, even though it's really the legislature that has to make an action on it.
Got it, Bob. Thanks very much.